Hello, so today we will discuss the Aztecs and I will be answering three questions. And so the first question is how the Aztecs compared to another civilization that we learned about in class. I focused on the Mali Empire in Africa. So first, right off the bat, similar time period, 14th to 16th century. The Mali Empire focused more on trade, specifically with other neighboring nations, whereas the Aztecs focused more on conquering or obtaining more land, so a bit less friendly. However, both have accepted specific people or groups of people. For the Mali Empire, it was scholars that they really welcomed, and then for the Aztecs, it was the Spaniards that they really welcomed before the Spaniards tried to start conquering them, basically. In terms of goods, the Aztecs had corn and other produce that they sold in huge markets with thousands and thousands of people. And for goods, Malian goods, they had salt and gold. Both had one prominent leader. It was a Mansa for the Mali Empire, like Mansa Musa, and then it was a Huey Lat'oeni, meaning great speaker in the Aztec nation, as well as one major city of importance. It was Tenochtitlan for the Aztecs and Timbuktu for the Mali Empire. And then the last thing for this first question is both had interesting gender roles, which I thought was really cool. In the Aztec culture, women were seen as separate but equal from men, and so, men still had the hard, physical, laborious jobs, but it wasn't seen as more important or more honorable than the women's jobs. And then for the Mali Empire, they were really different from a lot of other Islamic cultures in the fact that women enjoyed more freedom in their clothing that they were able to wear and just having male friends and things of that nature. So they really enjoyed a lot of freedoms that a lot of countries around them or civilizations around them didn't really have. And so the second question is the classic trends in overall Mesoamerica. Specifically, I focus more so on the Mayan civilization since that's what we more so learned about versus things that are specific to the Aztecs. And so the similarity overall is kind of just human or blood sacrifice is kind of a spirituality measure, as well as cultural aspects such as writing, or more so their language. Their language was more symbol-based, and of course it didn't use a Latin alphabet because that's more of a European thing. The language for the Aztecs was Nahuatl, and then the language for the Maya was Mayan. That's the name of the language. As well as they all had architectural feats like El Castillo for the Mayan civilization, or for the Maya civilization, and Templo Mayor for the Aztec or Mexica civilization. In terms of geography, the Aztecs were in mid-Mexico, so higher up than the Maya or the Incas, which was kind of Central or South America. And then they were all pretty much taken over by Spanish conquistadors. So Hernan Cortez specifically for the Aztecs, but they were all pretty much taken over, which is by present day, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, etc. They all kind of speak Spanish predominantly now. And then the Mayans were seen as a bit more, or the Maya was seen as a bit more scientific, and they focused on things like astronomy and timekeeping, whereas the Aztecs were a bit more war-oriented a little bit. And then finally, the last thing is that Maya had specific city-states with individual rulers within them, whereas the Aztecs had one supreme ruler who lived in the capital. And then the last question that I will get to was the history of Aztecs. And basically, so the Aztecs didn't really keep written records quite like the Maya did. And so most of their history was passed down orally. And so the problem with that came because when they were taken over, they were a bit more warrior-like. And so when they were taken over, a lot more of them died in war and from disease, as opposed to just kind of giving up, not giving up, but, being defeated and then just kind of assimilating into the Spanish culture. And so we're really not sure a lot of their histories because a lot of the people that would pass it down have died. And so basically all we really have is, their present day architectures, that ruins that we can look at. And then we have the notes from Spaniards. But we're a little bit iffy on the notes from Spaniards just because, we don't really know if they overinflated anything to sound really cool to the other Europeans. Or also another thing that they could have done is they could have really stretched out the truth a lot. For example, human sacrifice, they could have really exaggerated that for the purposes of justifying them, taking them over, conquering them, and switching them, trying to make them Christian and things of that nature. So that's all my questions. Thank you.